For decades, the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has been a land of breathtaking landscapes, rich resources, and tragically, endless cycle of violence. In the past year, that violence has reached a breaking point. At the center of it all stands the M23, a rebel group that vanished a decade ago, only to return stronger, more organized, and more determined than ever. Today, they are no longer just a threat, they are a force that has taken Goma, a key city on the border with Rwanda. The world is watching and the region is on the edge of collapse.
I remind you to subscribe and like this show so that we can continue expanding the great family of the reality.
M23's resurgence in 2025 was not a surprise to those who had been watching closely. Their fighters moved swiftly, taking strategic towns one by one until they reached Goma. The Congolese army, despite reinforcements from South Africa and regional allies, struggled to hold the line. Within weeks, the rebels had pushed deeper into North Kivu, setting their sights on larger territories. For many, the question was no longer whether the conflict could be contained, but rather how far M23 was willing to go. Behind the statistics are real people, families torn apart, children forced to flee from homes they may never see again. The United Nations estimates that over 500,000 people have been displaced since the start of the year. But this is not just a story of war, it is also a story of power, politics, and the struggle for control in one of Africa's most resource-rich regions. President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, has consistently condemned Rwanda for its alleged support of the M23 rebel group, which has been active in the eastern regions of the DRC. In various statements, he has accused Rwanda of direct military involvement and backing the rebels, leading to significant instability and humanitarian crises in the area. In a speech to the United Nations General Assembly, President Tshisekedi stated that despite his efforts to seek peace, neighboring countries, particularly Rwanda, have chosen to support armed-herded groups that destabilize eastern Congo. He emphasized that Rwanda's actions constitute a blatant violation of international law, involving direct incursions by Rwandan armed forces and occupation of territories in North Kivu province through the M23, which receives substantial support in terms of equipment and troops from Rwanda. The resurgence of the M23 rebellion has led to severe humanitarian consequences, including mass displacement and loss of life. The United Nations reported that at least 131 civilians were killed in attacks by the M23 in November 2022, with the violence described as part of a campaign of murders, rapes, kidnappings, and looting against villages in the Rutshuru territory. In response to these events, President Tshisekedi has ruled out negotiations with the M23, labeling them a terrorist organization. He has called for a robust military response to reclaim occupied territories and restore peace in the region. Additionally, he has urged the international community to impose targeted sanctions against Rwanda for its destabilizing role and demanded the immediate withdrawal of Rwandan troops from Congolese territory. The situation remains complex with ongoing regional and international efforts to mediate and resolve the conflict. However, the DRC government maintains a firm stance against engaging in dialogue with the M23, focusing instead on military and diplomatic measures to address the crisis. President Paul Kagame of Rwanda has consistently refuted allegations that his government supports the M23 rebel group operating in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. In various statements, Kagame has emphasized that the M23 is composed of Congolese nationals, primarily from the Tutsi community, who have been marginalized and persecuted within the DRC. He argues that the international community should focus on addressing the root causes of the conflict, including the DRC's internal governance issues and the presence of hostile militias, rather than attributing blame to Rwanda. In a recent interview with Jeune Afrique, Kagame expressed skepticism about international mediation efforts, citing Kinshasa's history of violating peace agreements. He defended Rwanda's actions as necessary for self-preservation against hostile neighbors and questioned why the international community ignores Congolese aggression. Kagame maintains that the M23 represents a persecuted community rather than mere rebels. He also dismissed threats of sanctions from Western nations, asserting that Rwanda will always prioritize its security over foreign pressure. Kagame criticized former colonial powers for their role in the region's instability and denounced Western double standards. Confident in Rwanda's resilience, he declared that no external force will dictate the country's actions. Kagame has also highlighted the presence of over 100,000 refugees from eastern DRC residing in Rwanda, underscoring the ongoing humanitarian crisis resulting from the conflict. He contends that Rwanda has been unfairly blamed for a decades-old problem rooted in the DRC's governance failures and the continued presence of the genocidal FDLR militia. Kagame asserts that Rwanda has the right to defend its territorial integrity and will take necessary measures to ensure the safety and security of its citizens. The situation in the eastern DRC remains complex, with multiple armed groups contributing to ongoing instability. While Rwanda denies involvement with the M23, regional dynamics and historical tensions continue to fuel suspicions and accusations among neighboring countries. Efforts toward a peaceful resolution require addressing the underlying causes of the conflict and fostering dialogue among all parties involved. President William Ruto of Kenya, the current chair of the East African Community, EAC, urged for peace talks, warning that this war will not end through bullets but through dialogue. President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa committed troops to support the Congolese army, a move that some saw as necessary, while others feared it could draw the entire region into a larger conflict. Each statement carried weight. Each leader had their own interests, and as the war unfolded, it became clear this was no longer just a Congolese conflict. Beneath the soil of eastern Congo lies immense wealth: gold, diamonds, and most importantly, cobalt, a mineral essential for modern technology. For years, armed groups have fought over these resources, funding their operations through illegal mining. M23's movements were not random. Every town they captured brought them closer to key mining sites. Some experts warned that this was not just a war for territory, it was a war for economic control. The experts say that the minerals in eastern Congo are among the most valuable in the world. Whoever controls them controls billions of dollars. That's why this conflict isn't just about grievances, it's about power. The world is taking notice. The United Nations, the European Union, and the United States have condemned the violence. Some have threatened sanctions against both Rwanda and the DRC if the conflict continues. But words alone will not stop the fighting. In Goma, the gunfire has not stopped. The roads are filled with soldiers and civilians alike, all caught in a conflict that has no clear end in sight. The war in eastern Congo is not just a political crisis, it is a humanitarian disaster. And yet, amid the chaos, there is still hope. The people of the DRC have endured war before. They have rebuilt their lives time and time again. And as the world watches, the question remains, will this time be different? The war in eastern Congo is more than a military conflict. It is a struggle for survival, for control, and for the future of an entire region. As the M23 advances, reports indicate that they are now moving toward Bukavu, the capital of South Kivu. If they take the city, the conflict could spiral into an even larger crisis, one that threatens not only the DRC but the entire Great Lakes region. The past has shown that peace in this land is fragile. Promises have been made, ceasefires signed, but the cycle of war continues. And now, history is on the verge of repeating itself once again. This is a moment in history that cannot be ignored. The world must pay attention. If you found this documentary informative, make sure to subscribe to this channel so we can continue bringing you critical updates on global conflicts. Don't forget to like, comment, and share so more people can understand what is happening in Congo today.